Welcome back to the poker vlog. This is episode number 227. For this one, we're in Austin, Texas at the Lodge, and we're playing 5-10-25 on stream. You guys are gonna love it. Some really interesting situations. Before we get started, a few announcements to make. The first one is that I've been putting up brand new content on my second channel called Brad Owen Clips, so I have a link down below in the description box. I actually play a session of 50-100 on stream, and I go over it in a new format that I put on that channel, so be sure to check that out after you watch this. Also, we've got a meetup game coming up November 17th at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida, so I can't wait for that. That's gonna be awesome. And if you're in Austin, I'm actually gonna be playing there at the Lodge today, if you're watching on Monday and Tuesday, so October 24th and 25th. All right, guys, hope you enjoy this one. Let's go ahead and get started. We're in Round Rock, Texas, just outside of Austin, to play at the Lodge. It's a unique place here with the best staff and friendliest atmosphere in poker. I'm on a heater. In the 10 days leading up to this trip, I had my second biggest win ever in a cash game at Bellagio. I won a ClubWPT free roll tournament out of 2,154 players for a package to the World Championship at Wynn Las Vegas. Then I went to Tampa where I got second in an $1,100 event for $20,000. In the next tournament, got 24th in the WPT $3,500 main event for about $22,000. It's the best stretch that I've ever had, and I'm looking to keep it going. We have a special low-limit 1-2 meetup game on property. It's cool to play a bit more of a relaxing session with as many viewers as possible, and the event is packed. My family comes out to see the Lodge for the first time. I take them to watch a game between Texas and Alabama, which is as exciting as it gets. Texas came into the game unranked, and Alabama came in ranked #1 in the nation. It's completely nuts at the stadium with tons of energy. There's a record crowd of 105,000 in attendance. Despite the first-string quarterback going down early for Texas, the team manages to kick a field goal late to take the lead with only a minute and a half left. The crowd goes wild, my brother's having a good time, my sister and my mom are loving it, I'm high-fiving random strangers, even Kevin Durant is pumped up. It's a phenomenal game, but for some reason I can't seem to remember how it ended. My mind is focused on poker. For this session, we're playing 5-10-25 on stream. I get 10,000 in chips initially, although there's a $5,000 cap. I just like having extra chips on hand so that it's easier to reload if I get stuck at some point. We're about to get started against a handful of wild opponents.
From the Lodge Mahal in beautiful Austin, Texas, welcome to the Lodge live stream. My name's Slick Rick, along with my partner each and every week, Skull Mike, and we've got a good one, Skull, a little 5-10-25 with somebody named Brad Owen, who is in fuego right now.
You mean Fire Elmo?
He's in fuego.
That's fire in Spanish,
Yes.
Isn't that? Wow.
Similar to everyone on the show Naked and Afraid, we're looking to keep the fire going. A few hands in, we agree to play the stand-up game. If you win a hand, you get to take a seat. The last person standing is the loser and has to pay everyone else at the table $50. I'm not a huge fan of this game because it takes away one of my favorite aspects of poker, sitting. We're playing it anyway though. There's always a huge increase in action when it's on. Here, Cinnabon raises to 75 from under the gun with Queen 6 suited. We're in the small blind with Ace 8 offsuit. Normally I'd fold this hand, but I make an adjustment knowing that I could be ahead of Cinnabon's range, and I call. Dr. J is in the third blind. In case you're wondering, he actually is a doctor. Dr. J calls. We're going 3 ways to the flop out of position. It comes 10-5-5 rainbow. Dr. J is the only one who connects, yet we all check. The turn is the ace of hearts giving us top pair. After checks through on the flop, I figure Cinnabon could also be holding an ace in his hand, or will potentially at least bet this card knowing that it's theoretically better for his range as the initial pre-flop raiser than it would be for anyone else. I check, Dr. J checks, Cinnabon bets 175 as a bluff. Despite not knowing exactly where we're at, there's no way that we're folding yet. I call, Dr. J isn't confident in his pair of 10s, and rightfully so, he makes a good fold. It's down to heads up, the river is the 9 of diamonds, I check, hoping that it'll check back. It doesn't. Cinnabon gathers chips to keep the pressure on and fires for almost a pot-sized bet of 525. He's either got a strong hand like top or 10s full, or he's bluffing. I don't like facing this decision. Still, I feel like we have close to the best hand that we'll have in this situation, so folding isn't a very appealing option.
525 from Cinnabon.
Brad
with
thinking.
Squadouche.
Or like 10s.
Brad, don't do
But
it.
I'm an idiot.
He pays it off.
You got it.
Good call, Brad. Queen high.
Nice hand.
Take a seat, Brad.
Someone please call Paul Blart immediately. Cinnabon was just robbed for several $100s. I win the first hand of the stand-up game by making a difficult call. You may have heard me say, but I'm an idiot, as I was putting chips in the middle because a big part of me expected to lose. You guys see me make river calls that are incorrect regularly. The thing that you have to keep in mind is that even when facing pot-sized bets, you only have to call and be correct 34% of the time to be profitable. If you're facing a smaller bet than that, you can call and make a profit if you're correct at an even lower frequency. We get off to a good start and are up 1,000 early on. 20 hands later, I straddle to 50. Cinnabon, who is always smelling delicious in malls, raises to 175 in the cutoff with 4 deuce suited. Dylan has 7-6 diamonds in the third blind. He calls for 150 more. It's 125 for us to call. I'm on the fence about it with 10-9 offsuit. We're closing the action against a known bluffer, plus we're getting a good price. I call to see the flop. 3 of us are in the mix. The flop comes Jack 9-5 with 2 diamonds and a club. Surprisingly, 4 deuce suited isn't doing all that well on this board. Dylan, on the other hand, smashes it with his flush draw straight draw combo. We've got middle pair and a backdoor straight draw. It's checked to the initial pre-flop raiser. He didn't open with 4 deuce to check back flops. He fires for 150. It's just over 1/4 pot, a very small sizing. Dylan is happy to stick around for that price. He calls. I'm getting almost 6-1. I don't see how I can fold at this juncture. I call to see what develops. The turn is the king of spades. It gives us a gutter, but since it's an overcard to the board, it again should be a better card for Cinnabon, the initial pre-flop raiser, and place where he used to love getting free samples, or maybe still do. Dylan checks. His hand is looking less and less appealing, with only 1 card to come and 2 opponents who could potentially have better draws, or even have 7-6 of diamonds drawing dead. I check with what's currently the best hand. Cinnabon knows that I know the king will often help him improve, and since he didn't get check raised on the flop, he continues with his story that he's got a big hand by betting 800. Dylan can't justify calling for that amount without even having a draw to the nuts. He folds. The situation for us is interesting. For one thing, we have Cinnabon's actual hand drawing stone dead. We've been downgraded to third pair, but we have a couple of key cards. Our 9 makes it way less likely that we're up against a strong hand like a set of 9s, or 2 pair hands like Jack 9 and King 9. Our 10 makes it way less likely that we're up against Queen 10 for the straight and King 10. What's even better is that we don't have any diamonds in our hand, increasing the probability that our opponent could have a diamond draw and may not be able to call a raise. I tend to have a solid image, which gives me more credibility when I make moves. I'm up against someone who's already shown this session that he's willing to bet with air. 10-9 isn't strong enough to call, but I'm not ready to give up.
Let's see what Brad does. He's got a gutter here and third pair. And Brad raises him. What a move. Probably recognizes Cinnabon is on tilt, trying to make a move. Really nice raise there from Brad, turning his third pair, and he got shot into a bluff. I really like that play there, Rick.
Cinnabon is open for business all day. Even though our third pair has the opponent drawing dead, this is one of my favorite plays that I've made, using my own intuition mixed with some lessons that I've gotten from Nick Petrangelo as part of the cash game course that's now out on Upswing called Smash Live Cash. I've got a link in the description box if you want to check it out for yourself and improve your own game. The course is $999, but if you use the promo code BRADOWEN, you'll get a $50 discount if you purchase it before October 31st. Otherwise, the promo code will only get you $25 off afterwards. You can see in this hand alone, I make an additional $2,600 in a situation that I probably wouldn't have if I hadn't gotten some of those coaching lessons that were filmed for the course. Even if you're playing smaller stakes, it's easy to recuperate the $999 investment if you actually study and apply the concepts. Next, we've got Jack 6 of spades on the button. The straddle is on for 50. I raised to 175. Guess who we're going to be battling with? If in your head you said Cinnabon, you're correct. You're probably getting a little hungry. He calls in the third blind for 150 more. Scotland can close the action with the call. He makes it with 7 deuce suited, even though the 7 deuce game isn't on. Scotland's out there trying to make the stream interesting and is perhaps planning to make a move if he sees a good opportunity. We're going 3 ways to the flop in position. It comes 6-3 deuce with 2 spades. It's one of the best flops that we could get. We have top pair as well as a flush draw. Cinnabon checks. I was the pre-flop aggressor. Scotland isn't going to wait for me to bet though. He puts 200 out there with his bottom pair and backdoor draws. We're in the driver's seat given that there are a ton of cards that can help us improve, and we're in position. There's no real need to raise. I slightly under-rep our hand with a call so that we can keep in hands that we're crushing, like perhaps 7 deuce or 10-6 of diamonds. Cinnabon is having a tough day. It's like Orange Julius is having a sale right next door and is taking away all of Cinnabon's income. He puts in the check raise to 800 with his top pair that he thinks could be best. I don't blame him for making a play right now. The board is really only going to get worse for him if overcards come out. Or actually, even if undercards to his pair come out, he doesn't want to see spades either. Cinnabon has 4,345 left in his stack. Scotland gets out of there quickly. After underrepping my hand initially, I'm not going to be folding. There aren't any hands that I'm in terrible shape against except exactly 5-4 of spades. Even if I'm up against a set, I'll still have plenty of outs. Also, I can easily be ahead, like in this situation, or if Cinnabon has a flush draw himself. He could even have a worse flush draw like 7-5 of spades and be crushed. I don't want a card like the Queen of Diamonds coming out on the turn, then face a jam from Cinnabon and not be sure what to do. I get a count from the opponent. We're always going to have a relatively high amount of equity. We may as well get it in now with 2 cards to come. I back 3-bet jam for over 5,000 effective to put Cinnabon in the oven.
Brad said all in, and he's got the best hand. What a rip by him. Cinnabon's top pair shrivels up.
She's a super mom. Super mom, super employee, super housemaker.
He wasn't expecting that.
I'm glad to see the opponent in the tank. It means that I'm not up against a straight, set, or 2-pair hand. We're either up against 1 pair or a flush draw. Either way, we're going to be in decent shape. 10-6 of diamonds should be a snap fold because even if I have a hand like 7-6 or 7-5 of spades, top pair with a medium kicker will be a flip at best. Sometimes I'll have ace-6 through 10-6 of spades and we'll have a commanding lead like I do in this case. After over 2 minutes of tanking, the opponent finally folds. We take our hand and eat Cinnabon for breakfast with it. Sorry guys, but with a name like Cinnabon, these jokes are practically writing themselves. I'm just rolling with it and spreading frosting on top. I like the opponent. I played with him plenty of times at the lodge. I show him that he made the right laydown. You can see on my face that I'm trying to get a read to see if he folded a hand that's better like pocket eights or a hand that's worse like a flush draw. He tells me that we couldn't have had a worse hand for him than the one that I showed. I ask him if he had 9-8 or something of spades. He says no, so then I guess 7-5 of spades. He eventually tells me that he had a 6 with a worse kicker and no spades. We're having a good session and are playing the stand-up game for the second time today. Andrew Nemi has arrived at the table. In this one, there's a double straddle on. We're playing 5-10, 25, 50, 100. Andrew's on the button with 5-3 suited. He raises to 325. We've got ace-6 suited in the small blind. We could have the best hand. I don't want to call, allow others to call and have to play a multi-way pot out of position. I also don't want someone to 3-bet behind and have to potentially fold. Instead, I 3-bet to 1200 to prevent hands with plenty of equity, or even some hands that we're beating, to get involved. We see Cinnabon has to lay down his ace-8 suited. That's a big win for us. There's nothing that Andrew can really do. He folds, we take it down. If you win a hand during the stand-up game and you take your seat, you have to show what you won with, so I reveal that we made a big 3-bet with ace-6 of diamonds to earn the right to sit back in the chair. We don't get to do it for long though. For some reason, the table wants to play the stand-up game for a third time shortly after. It's down to us, and this episode's nemesis is the last 2 people standing. I never lost a stand-up game before, and don't intend to do it now, especially because the loser of this one has to pay each player $100 instead of $50 like earlier. The straddle's on, downhill raises to 150 with king-queen offsuit. Andrew's already sitting down, but he doesn't want to fold his king-5 suited. He puts in the 3-bet to 450. Now I've got a weird decision. I have a relatively strong hand that I don't want to let go of, particularly while Cinnabon still has cards, because if Cinnabon wins the hand, I'll have to pay 7 players $100 each. I consider 4-betting. The issue for me is that Andrew has no real incentive to 3-bet light, given that he's already won his seat back and has 5 players to act behind him. The person that he 3-bet was second to act pre-flop, so Andrew's range should be really narrow and will often have ace-jack offsuit crushed. If I 4-bet, I might get 5-bet jammed on by Andrew and be smoked. I don't want that. I call to play in position. Stash is in the small blind with a real hand. He has pocket 9s. He already lost 2 or 3 buy-ins this session. He sees an opportunity to get some of it back, and he takes it by 4-bet shoving as a squeeze for about 4,000 total. That's going to clear some people out, including the person that I was most worried about, Andrew Nemi. There's tons of dead money in the middle. I'm facing a jam from a player who could be tilting after taking a couple of brutal beats early on. I might be up against a worse ace or small to medium pocket pair. As long as I'm not up against pocket aces, I'll have a decent chance at winning. I may be ahead or flipping. With all the extra money from the blinds, the straddle, the initial pre-flop raise, Andrew's 3-bet, and my 3-bet call, plus the $800 swing in the right direction for me if I don't lose the stand-up game, I'm able to justify sticking around.
Back to Brad. Ace-Jack makes the call.
Oh, we're going to have a flip for it all right here. One time for the stream, Rick. Can Brad survive?
I'm relieved to see that we're just about flipping. It's nearly a $9,000 pot. If I lose, I'd be about even on the session. If Ace-Jack wins, we'll be up almost 5 figures. The flop comes Jack 6-4 rainbow. We make a pair when we need to the most. Stash is running awful today. He needs a miracle. The turn is the queen of spades. It's no help for him. The river is another 4. We win a massive pot to keep the heater going, at least for now. We straddle for 50 from under the gun. Dr. J is in the hijack with ace-10 offsuit. He raises to 175. Scotland has him beat with ace-jack offsuit. He 3-bets to 575. We're in another uncomfortable situation. We've got ace-queen suited, the player's second to act pre-flop raised, then a player who started the hand with essentially 100 big blinds, 3-bets. I don't hate the idea of folding and waiting for a better spot to get involved. I don't really like the idea of folding what could be the best hand either, though.
Over to Brad Owen with ace-queen suited.
1800.
Makes it 1800. Here's the play.
Waiting for a time like this. Scotland's been very, very active. Out of position. Brad wants to size up with his 4-bet sizing. 1800 is the price. And I think Scotland's just going to lay this down. Could be crushed so many different ways. Brad really hasn't gotten out of line. Playing very solid poker today is Mr. Owen.
We're either going to see a fold or a jam from Scotland. Not knowing what he has, I wouldn't mind a fold so that we can win around $800 without seeing a flop. Scotland is able to get away from it. He lets it go. We add to our stack. It's a great day. We've got almost 15,000 in front of us, and we're still only in for 5,000. As the stream progresses, the action starts to get crazier and crazier. In this hand, downhill straddles to 50, Andrew double straddles for 100, I triple straddle for 200, and Stash quadruple straddles to 400. We're playing 5, 10, 25, 50, 100, 200, 400, and a 5,000 cap game. No one is going to be playing that deep. We'll all have to adjust accordingly. It folds to Andrew, who has king 10 offsuit in the $100 straddle. There's a graphic error with Andrew's stack. It says that he only has 1,500, but we can see that he has about 7,000 in front of him. He raises to 1,200. I just want an easy decision one time. We don't get it. We look down at pocket 5s. Andrew basically started the hand with 18 big blinds. I can't call and set mine. I could certainly fold, but Andrew should be raising with a pretty wide range, knowing that he only has to get through 2 players to win 790 that was in the middle. 5s are too good. I'm okay playing for all of it, given that 4 straddles are on. I 3-bet to 5,000, putting our bubblegum chip to use. It's not just for looks. Stash doesn't want to go all in with king 8 suited, and he folds one of Andrew's outs. Andrew folds king 10 offsuit face up. We had the best starting hand, just barely, and pick up an additional 1,700 with it after our aggressive play. It's nice to get that one through. It's a risky maneuver that works out.
I like the raise there with the 5s.
Too good, bro. Yeah.
And he wants that table to know. I'm not afraid to bet large and 3-bet massive with just the pair of 5s.
The game is completely off the rails. The very next hand, Scotland has ace-8 offsuit with the straddle to 400 on once again. Scotland has 12 big blinds effective and rips it all in for about 47.50. No one has anything that they can call with. Dr. J is the last line of defense. He has 6 deuce offsuit, so he doesn't have much of a decision. He folds. Dr. J triple straddles to 200 the very next hand after that. It folds to us in the $50 straddle, so we look down at ace-queen offsuit. With game flow in mind, and the fact that only 2 remaining players in the hand on my left have way smaller stacks of around 30 big blinds, I rip it in. Stash folds as jack 9 offsuit. Dr. J looks down at ace 5. Maybe he can justify calling after seeing earlier that I 3-bet 5s to 5,000. I'm clearly willing to put in piles of chips with hands that aren't premiums. Nope, he folds. That just about wraps up the session. We get another 5-figure win to add to by far the best period of poker in my life.
Cumulative winnings. Jay went up 11,400. Brad Owen, 10,850. Downhill, 26.57. Cinnabon and Scotland, both winners. Andrew Nemi lost $4,000. There's your V-Pips. And Skull Mike, another great one. Another great day at the Lodge Mahal.
Played for 4.5 hours. I got him for $10,200, and just the heater continues. So it's just been by far the craziest stretch of poker that I've ever played. Everything's coming together. I put a lot of time into studying, and we're playing bigger stakes. And today it's not like I ran extremely well. I did have the huge pot with ace jack versus pocket 9s.
you know, caught the right side of variance there to win that hand, and that was like an 8K pot. So I mean, that obviously ends up being a big chunk of the winnings, but I feel like I picked my spots really well. I didn't have a ton of huge hands, so just very, very happy with how I played and how the night ended up overall, and just the group of guys that we played with are a ton of fun. So just now I get my family is actually flying in like this minute, and so I get to have some dinner with them and get to celebrate a little, which is special for me. This is their first time like seeing the lodge, so it's gonna be a pretty cool night.
That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe buttons, because it helps out the channel a ton. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to get back to you. This was a really cool session for me. I was on the road for 2 weeks, so I was in Tampa for a week or so, and then went to Austin, and I did really well. It was the best stretch of poker that I've ever had. I had some tournament success in Tampa, and then to keep it going in Austin was great, especially with my family coming out there, and seeing that Texas-Alabama game was one of the highlights of the year for me. But yeah, I've been doing great in poker, and a lot of that is because of the coaching that I've been getting from Nick Petrangelo. So be sure to check out that course, Smash Live Cash. It's available now on Upswing. I have a link down below in the description box. If you use the promo code BradOwen, you get a small discount. So be sure to do that. I mean, it's just the best live cash game course that's on the market. I've seen a lot of them, and I'm a big proponent of people studying online training sites, whether it's Smash Live Cash or another one, but this is by far the best material that I've ever seen, and it'll help out your game, and it'll be well worth it. You have to invest in yourself and put in the time and effort if you want to improve in poker and be profitable and eventually move up in stakes. So, got a couple of events coming up. The first one is November 17th at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. Be on the lookout for that, and come say hi to Andrew and me if you're in the Florida area and able to make it. And then we're doing a meetup game to kick off the World Championship at Wynn Las Vegas in December. I have more information in the description box below, but that's going to be really cool. So hope you guys are all doing well. Be sure to check out BradOwen Clips if you want to see some more content. I have that 50-100 live stream, brand new format. That video is exclusively on BradOwen Clips, and if you go check it out, you'll see why it's on there and not on the main channel. Anyway, good luck, guys, and I'll see you next time.